So she took that and said, when you say rules, it makes me feel something.
She said it several times actually, because I also watched it. I listened to the episode. Yeah, she was triggered severally. Like, yeah,
Severally, when you say rules, it makes me feel some type of way. We are in dangerous waters. But I went into the dictionary again to think, do I not understand what rules mean?
What rules
anymore?
mean?
People, as we see today, they usually bring trauma into conversations. And when they bring those traumas, suddenly every story is a red flag. So my question to you, Ibra, is I want to even make this more specific. How does trauma warp generalization in feminism and patriarchy?
This is the biggest question of 2025, man. I mean, you know where I stand with this. I feel like it's not looking good. I've always made the statement that most feminists in 2025 are traumatized people. Before, it didn't used to be like that. I would argue in 2010, you would see the movement, you would see the people leading the movement, and you would be like, oh yeah, I'm on this, like, yeah, we all have to fight for this right for women to be, because, for a better life of everyone, right? But right now, when you see a lot of this feminist talking, all I hear is trauma, all I hear is hatred, anger. It's just obvious to me. Maybe, I don't know, maybe some people see it differently, but we still have a few ones. But it then makes the whole cause, the whole thing you are fighting for, to be in question. If you are coming from a traumatic experience to now spearhead like a movement like that. So it's not good.
Exactly.
Just to make it sure. It's not good.
I agree with you, Ibra. I think it has impacted the whole topic on feminism and patriarchy. It has impacted it in such a way that it almost want to destroy the whole movement. And now you have this clear separation of feminists, and then you say, oh, you have the beta feminists, you have those feminists, or you have the Nigerian feminists, you have those feminists, or you have the American feminists, you have those feminists. And I think to make it more concrete, I even have examples. I give one example. Today I was scrolling through Twitter, and all these posts like this Jacking genuine link. And there was this post on Twitter that was like it was like a South African word, and people would then comment stories that are super unique to them and all that stuff that they've heard. There was
I
a
haven't
story
seen.
of, oh, what is that one hill that you would die on? And this guy said, even if my daughter comes to me and tells me that she was sexually assaulted, I will investigate before acting. And his reasoning behind that was because when he was 14 years old, one girl accused him and his brothers, three of them, of raping her. The girl's dad was a police officer. Thankfully, he wasn't at home that day. Then he came back at night, and the guy was basically saying if he was at home that day, he could have picked up a gun and shot them dead. But then they found out that a neighbor caught that girl sleep at 14, caught that girl sleeping with another person that she liked. The person ran away, and the neighbor now said, what are you doing, blah, blah. And she lied that it was this other neighbor boys that was raping her to protect the guy that she liked. Now, this truth came out within that day and nothing happened. Now, that's not what's most crazy about it. I went into the comment section and I saw a lady say, wow, imagine the daughter seeing that our father will not believe her if she claims that she has been raped because of one experience or the other. And in that instance, I immediately saw two traumatic experiences
Yeah.
leading to conclusions that are different. I'll start with different. And I'm thinking, well, trauma influences our decisions. Yes, we cannot run away from that. But what type of conclusions and generalization are we bringing away from that? Women look at their traumatic experience when they're sexually assaulted and think every lady must be believed. This is the starting point. And men look at their own experience of being lied against and think everything must be investigated. Not that you shouldn't believe the woman, but it cannot just be a given.
Yeah.
Now, logically, when a crime has been committed, what should be done?
To investigate, right?
Logically. So for
Yeah.
women, out of their own trauma to arrive at the conclusion of any investigation, the guy is guilty. That's one of the generalization problem. I'll come to another one. I was listening to the podcast by Steve Bartlett. What's his name? What's the name of the podcast again?
Diary of a CEO.
Diary of a CEO. And
Huh.
they had this episode with three ladies talking about feminism and stuff like that. The one that was supporting the liberal standpoint basically said what gives her the right and the authority to be able to speak on the topic of feminism and sexual freedom in women is because she believes she's a time traveler. I think it was Deborah or something. She owns a podcast herself. What allows her to be a time traveler is because she grew up in
In the cult.
something like a cult. And based on my experience there, she believes that that was the experience of all women in the 1950s. Another generalization that I felt was very extreme because even if it's the experience of some women, for sure not all women, because different countries, different experience, different rules, different power structures, different races, different wealth classes. For sure not the experience of all women. But she's holding that stance. And now she's bringing, with that stance, she's teaching young women how to navigate the world based off our trauma experience. I'm not in any way trying to undermine our trauma. I think when you experience those things, it becomes a part of you and it's something to be considered for sure. But it's again the type of example that I gave with the Twitter bit. What kind of conclusion do you come to with that? And this is where I found very funny in one of Deborah's statements. One of the other women that was a little bit conservative about sexual experimentations and all that stuff, one of the things she talked about was she used the word, I think we need a little bit more rules. It's not to take away the freedom, but a little bit of more rules and guidelines so that we also start to get some societal benefits in the new world, especially when it comes to raising kids. And Deborah, in everything she heard, rules, because of her experience, the word rules is such a big deal for her.
Is a trigger. Yeah.
It's a trigger word. So she took that and said, when you say rules, it makes me feel something.
She said it several times actually, because I also watched it. I listened to the episode. Yeah. She was triggered severally. Like, yeah.
Severally, when you say rules, it makes me feel some type of way. We are in dangerous waters. But I went into the dictionary again to think, do I not understand what rules mean?
What rules
anymore?
mean?
Well, what do you mean
Yeah.
dangerous waters? When community have to come together to function as one, you must have guidelines or rules, whatever you want to call it. So how is rules suddenly dangerous waters? And that's again another example of how trauma shapes